Hey, it's Kevin Antreassian, and we're here at Backroom Studios, a spot that I've been for a very long time. We're going to walk you through some of the stuff we got here. We got a lot of stuff in the studio, but then we also have actually more of this place is a rehearsal space for bands. So we do have a studio in here, but it's a lot bigger. It's 7,000 square feet, so it's mostly all rehearsal rooms. So we'll take you in here for the control room here. And yeah, we got our kind of like console, if you will, even though it's definitely not a console. It's just a thing that I have created over the years with a ton of 500 series modules and some outboard gear here and there. We custom built this desk, which needs a new stain job at some point, but we have all that fun stuff here, all the preamps and EQ and compressors and stuff, and our monitoring. We have our patching over here, which is just from the session we just filmed, which is, obviously gives me anxiety just to look at that. So for monitoring, I do love the way Genelec sound. The 1030 series I really like. At first, we were doing a record. I was an Atom person. I had all Atoms. I had the ribbon tweeters I was really into. And that was just, I was used to that. So at some point we were doing a Dillinger Escape Plan record, and the producer Steve Evans was here, and he brought in some of the smaller Genelecs, the 1030s, and he threw them up because that was something that he was used to. And I was like in one of my sessions that I had been working on the Atoms for so long, and I was so used to them, and I just like flicked over to those, and I was like immediately turned off. I was like, I hate the way these sound. They're so aggressive in the upper mids. And I just was like, nope, no thanks. And I went back. And then I thought about it more, and I was like, man, maybe there is something to these that I should understand, because they're obviously like, a staple. And it turned out that the Atoms sound so clean and nice, but they almost to a deter, like they're not helping you. Whereas for certain things like guitar, electric guitar mainly, anything in that 3 to 5K range, those Genelecs really highlighted. If you can't hear it, you can't mix it, right? So they really push that forward, just like the MS-10 does, like 1.5K or whatever. It's like that huge, like push in there. These were a little bit different. So I quickly sold the Atoms that I had been on forever, and I got these. And yeah, I haven't looked back. And I got the bigger ones too, which are like these, but a little bit more open. They just sound a little bit more like flat in a way. And we got a sub hiding under the desk there, JBL. Outboard gear wise, we have quickly, if I can, we have a West Audio 2-bus. This thing is awesome. For those of you who don't know about that company, the European company, I believe, and they run their stuff through USB. So it's an analog piece that you run, but it's controlled through a plugin. So you can have the analog sound that you want from whatever piece of gear you have, but then you can switch it between sessions in the plugin and adjust it, and then saves per session, which is awesome, especially for a 2-bus. So we have that. We have some Chandler gear here, some Little Devil stuff, which have EQs and compressors that like I use on my drum bus. We have some Tone Lux compressors. Then we have the Expressor over here, which I use on my guitar bus. Let's see, we have a bunch of EQs. Obviously, I have a lot of API stuff. I'm just a fan of the API stuff. A bunch of EQs here in this center section. Obviously, I like to have my EQs being in the center stack as opposed to being offset somewhere so that I'm in the center of the stereo field while I'm dialing in. The mix position is the mix position for a reason. So I like to dial in all my stuff when I'm tracking right from the center spot. We have the API 2500 comp, stereo comp that I use on my drum parallel bus all the time. And like as it says, no touch, don't touch. It stays in the same position always. Over here, we have some DBX 160As, some distressors. We have some warm audio stuff down there. And then we have obviously, we have a Dangerous because I do hybrid mixing. We have a Summer. And then we have obviously the Avid interfaces down there. I think that covers most of the big things except for the preamps. The big part of this is I'm a guitar player. So I like guitar things. And, there's tons of guitars in this room. And there's also lots of guitar amps. And then to use all these effectively, like we used to have to just, if we wanted to change amps, you'd have to unplug it, rewire things, move around, turn it off, turn on the other one so you don't blow the transformers and stuff like that. Now we have everything kind of run through this Ampete system. And it also has a remote over here. You can just do everything over here. So now everything is routed to that. And this is routed to all the different rooms. So as you'll see later, I have a whole bunch of cabs in a cab room. We have them routed to the live room. We have an ISO room in the corner that's also routed too. So I can send any of these amps to any of these rooms and up to 2 cabs at the same time. So it's pretty wild the amount of configurations you can do. The huge benefit to a system like this is that you can hear the actual nuances of each amp in real time. You don't have to like fire it down, switch cables, fire the other one up, and then you're like, I don't even remember what the other one sounded like. You can literally switch back in real time, super quick, mid-chord if you want, and really find, the sound that you want for the album. We do this all the time here. Guitar players, a lot of these amps aren't like amps you just like run into a lot of the time. So they come here. We'll obviously throw their amp that they have in the AB, and we go through all of them. And we use the same DI, send through all of them, and we kind of have a really good AB comparison that way, so it's fair. And then most of the time they end up tracking with the amp that they didn't think they would want to track with. So we have a pretty diverse collection of stuff here. I mean, it's pretty heavy in the Marshall vein, but that's for a reason. But so those are all routed here, and then they can all be routed to different rooms as well. So we got a bunch of pedals over here, all kinds of weird pedals. I just love pedals. They're fun to just throw on an album for just like one little spot in a song. It really can make that section totally unique. And then there's a lot of distortion and fuzz stuff because I'm a big like octave fuzz fiend. So this is probably one of my favorites right here, this guy. This is that cab room we talked about. And I mean, if I close this door, hopefully you could even tell on the mic that it gets a lot tighter in here. This wall is like a fake wall with a lot of Roxel just stuffed in it. So there's no actual sheetrock. The same with the ceiling. It's just all that Roxel stuff everywhere. Going from the live room, which is really live, to that control room, which is pretty dead, to this room, which is super dead, it's really weird. But that's why we have all these cabs here. And with this thing, we can have 4 cabs out here at the same time, and we can have them all set up all the time and switch between them on the Ampete. So we can really audition all kinds of different sounds in here, with the Friedman, Bogner, Orange, Diesel, Marshall, just to have the old school vibe. So lots of fun stuff in here. Check out the creepy room. This is our creepy room. It's like our mic locker. This is kind of a storage room in a way. We have like all kinds of drum hardware in here just because drum stuff takes up so much space. So tons of snare drums here, other kits, Spawn, Ludwig vintage kits, some spare speakers, a whole bunch of spare tubes, various things, drum hardware, which constantly breaks. Being a rehearsal studio, this stuff gets punished, and just like I have to sort through some of this stuff all the time. Some dynamic mics over here. You hear that? That's part of my life, is that sound. Being under a gym. We got our kind of like mic area over here, condensers up top, dynamic here, and then because Rode was so nice to us and giving us a ton of mics, we have a whole Rode section down here. Something specific that sticks out that maybe could be fun to look at if I can find it. This Russian company, made this mic. They were doing a few of these years ago for like certain people, myself, Kurt Blue, I think Will Putney too, and there's a prototype mic. We got our name on it here, which was fun. But this was really cool. This was kind of like we were kind of going for the KM184 vibe. The only thing that was bad about this is just like a super sensitive and there's no pad. So you just have to be really careful with it. But it is a cool mic. That's a really, kind of one of a kind, unique one there. But nothing crazy in here. Just standard utility mics. More drums, lots of drums. So Simon just walked in. He has a session at 6, and it's getting really close to that. So I just wanted to intro him. He's like, he's my right-hand man here. We have a few other engineers that work here. Simon is my go-to for just like, getting help with sessions. A lot of times, like I can't do something or I need help with like it's a scheduling conflict. And, Simon runs a lot of the sessions over here and, he's great to also bounce ideas off of for this place. And just overall, like a huge help for me here. This is our live room. Nothing too much to say about this. We actually use this dual purpose as a, rehearsal room. So like we had a session in here yesterday that we had to clean up for because tonight we have a rehearsal going on in here. But there's a recording session here in like 30 minutes as well. So we're always all over the place here. Nothing too crazy in here, just some, more amps and cabs. We have this weird room in the back that I made a long time ago when I didn't understand anything about how how sound works and propagates and nodes and standing waves. This was supposed to be the original concept for my cab room, but this room is like way too narrow and bizarre. Like I tried to do like weird angles on things and stuff like that, but in the end, like no matter how you draw it out, sometimes it still can sound like shit. So this room doesn't sound great. Yesterday we did use this where I had the 412 here facing this gobo with more Roxel in it. And, for that, it was fine. But like, if you want to do something with some ambience in the room, it's gonna come through. So be aware of that for sure. But again, this room is all wired for all the cabs to come in.
So you have the scary room and you have the weird room.
Yeah, I have a lot of scary rooms. A lot of interesting rooms here. Hidden rooms. So here we're now in the lobby, where we have, like tons of, pictures and displays of a bunch of the work that we've done over the years. And then my favorite piece is my arcade machine, which I built from the ground up here. Has some fun custom artwork on it. This is the Backroom Battlegrounds arcade machine. And essentially it has every game you could ever want to play from the 80s all the way to the 90s and 2000s even. But Street Fighter, Simpsons, Turtles, you name it, we got it on here, free to play. For anyone. So we also are a rehearsal business as well. So like these rooms that we're going to walk through, these are all just like yearly leases that clients have with their own gear. They come in and they rehearse whenever they want, 3 a.m, whatever they want. We have a little tech shop here, which, just looks like a bomb went off in here. But this is where, if we need to fix something, solder something, or like set up a guitar or whatever for a session, we just kind of bring it in here and just do what we need to do. But this room is always in a state of chaos. It's never, it never looks good, which gives me terrible anxiety all the time. But I'll take you guys down the hallway if you want to see some more stuff. This is you might have to censor out some of the stuff, but this is my drum head wall, where usually I'll ask drummers after the session for the record to or the band, just to kind of like sign it however you want, like give me whatever the running joke of the session was, an inside joke, just put it on here so that when I'm old I have something to look at and remember what I did in life. So down here, this is just like more of the rehearsal stuff. We have all these rehearsal rooms for bands. Like I said, they just have yearly leases on these spots. We've had some of these clients for like 15 years that have been here for the whole time. And they'll probably never leave. So they just have their keys to their room. They go in and they kind of work on whatever music they're working on, whatever they want to do. I don't bother them. There's some nice King Crimson records down here, some Yes records, big generator. And then, just all the way down here, and then the Cooks to the right, all the way over there. There's just tons of rehearsal rooms.
How many rooms in total do you think there are?
Well, it goes from A to O. So however many that is. And they're always filled. Like, we have a long waiting list for people to try to get in here. It's a nice thing to help the studio as well, because a lot of places are just studios, just recording facilities. And that's a hard thing to do, to run specifically only on that. You have to be a certain person that's really busy to make that work for you. But if you have a nice side business attached to that can funnel into the recording aspect of it, it really alleviates a lot of that stress. So, a lot of these bands, probably most of these bands that are here on the yearly leases, when it's time to do their record, how much easier is it just to come down the hall, So, and that's what works for us here. And then we also have hourly rehearsal jams where people come in by the hour and they pay. So we just, getting life in the studio is super important to keep longevity and keep everything going. So we're in right now one of the many rehearsal spaces. This would be one of our hourly rehearsal jams. It's kind of set up mimic to kind of look like a stage at a venue in a way. And this is just kind of set up. All the mics are on, amps are all plugged in, ready to go. We provide as much stuff as possible for a band just to come in, pay by the hour, do their thing, and then leave. And we have a couple of these rooms that we utilize. And it's another way of just getting more people involved in the business. Because not everyone can afford or wants to afford a monthly or yearly situation where they have a room. So an hourly thing kind of fills that gap, that stopgap. So bands that are, tailors more to like, being less serious or committed to like a long-term project, or they just want to jam with friends or whatever. They utilize spaces like these. And like I said, we kind of make it as easy as possible just to get in, do your thing, and get out. So everything's already set up, mics are already on, amps are all here provided for. And yeah, it's a lot of work to maintain a space like this every day with multiple bands coming in. Like tonight, I already said earlier, it's like super busy. You have a bunch of people coming in. So it's a lot of scheduling, but it's good. It's a great facet to add to your business for sure, to keep like different customers coming in. And then they see the studio and they pop in, they're like, oh, what's in here? I didn't know you had a studio in here. I want to do a record, all the time. So that's our tour. Thanks for checking it out. If you guys need to get a hold of me for anything, you can email me through our website, which is backroom.studio. And yeah, look forward to talking with you.